Hello everyone and welcome to this Total War Warhammer 2 multiplayer commentary. In this 1v1 game, I'm going to be playing the High Elves led by Techless. And guys, we're going to be facing off against our evil edgy brothers, the Dark Elves, who I think are led by a standard Dreadlord. So let's jump right into this game, guys, and take a look at some of the army compositions. So down here in Vanguard, I do have two groups of the Illyrian Reaver Archers, and these guys are very similar to like Mounted Yeomen or Glade Riders, but they still do have that martial prowess. So if you look here, they are getting plus 12 melee defense and plus 2 melee attack while they're healthy, bringing their melee attack up to 32 and then 34 melee defense with 27 weapon strength. So not only are they pretty good at kind of skirmishing and doing some harassment like they're doing here, but if you do get into the back and have them fight some dark shards or some pretty squishy targets, they're actually going to do very well in combat, in that respect. On top of that, I do also have a whole front line, it's very, very wide, of spearmen that are mixed with the white lines of trace. So I decided to switch it up a little bit. You guys have been seeing my regular builds with the High Elves, and I think they do work, the more elite builds. Granted, I wanted to try going wide and see if it would pay off. So I have a bunch of white lines of trace here and spearmen just holding. And the spearmen, in their defense also do have very, very high melee defense. Man, that was kind of like an unintentional pun right there. But they do have the martial prowess, getting the plus 12 melee attack. So these guys are at 52 melee defense. So it's a very wide front line. Granted, it's not the most elite. So if I'm not able to damage my opponent before he gets to me, it's going to be a rough engagement for sure. But in the back, I do have 3 archers and then 1 of the Lothern Sea Guard to have on the flanks. So these guys do have an anti-large bonus. So if he does come around with some Cold One Riders or anything else like that, they will be able to defend themselves. So in the back, I also do have 1 group of the Phoenix Guard just to defend and give me some elite troops. So if he does have like a dragon or any other funny business, they'll be pretty good at dealing with that. And if my front line is starting to falter and he's not pressuring my back, I'm just going to push these guys up into the front line. But really the synergy with this build is Techless. So Techless has the ability to net, which is one of the reasons why the Empire is so strong. Is you can net things and you can shoot them down. So you can see I do have the nets of Amntok, Flock of Doom, as well as Regrowth. And then of course his potion, which is so good. Every 45 seconds you can give him a huge heal. And then also the fiery ring, or Kane's fiery ring, or Ring of Fury. Yeah, it's pretty good. But anyways, my plan is to kind of net everything down, just have all 4 of my archers just lay into them, and then also use these 2 Eagle Claw bolt throwers, both of which have gold chevrons, and I'm hoping that'll make them a little bit more viable to kind of just pepper down his elite infantry. So I'm hoping it'll work. This is probably the 3rd time I played it on ladder, and I was actually able to do pretty well with it in most of the games. Granted, I think 2 of them were against Dark Elves and 1 was against the Lizards, but the Lizardmen was definitely the hardest. But against Dark Elves, it works really well. So the Illyrian Reavers in the back are just kind of chasing down his Cold One Knights and doing some really good skirmish damage so far. I mean, it doesn't seem like a lot, but you guys see another volley or 2 here, it does add up. And I mean, hopefully I get a few models here. It looks like we did kill 1. They do have shields, and also pretty good armor, but again, just the density and just that pure kind of pressure on these guys is going to be pretty solid. On top of that, he has some Dark Shards over here, and he has a very elite army, which he was probably expecting more of the traditional, well, I wouldn't even call it traditional, but the build I usually bring. Because again, I am playing under my Turin acronym right now, so people may know. But he does have a bunch of Executioners in the front line to deal with Swordmasters and more elite infantry and White Lions. And then he also does have 2 Blackguard of Nagaron, a Reaper Bolt Thrower of his own, and the Dreadlord. So I don't know if he has any magic, dark magic or anything. I think he just went with a very expensive infantry core. Although instead of magic, he may have brought this K8 Assassin. So this guy's pretty good. He does have some abilities that are definitely going to be pretty scary if he can get on Techless. So he does hit quite hard in melee, but he also has the Dark Venom. So when you apply that, he gets 75% weapon damage and starts hitting like a truck. He also has Assassin's Trophy, so very good in like duelist type situations. Like if I had like a Tyrion fighting his Dreadlord, he could really kind of change the tide of that battle. So in the meantime, unfortunately, I had to waddle up the high ground because my opponent did start up here. I was hoping he would be down in the valley, but man, these Total War Warhammer 2 maps are just so darn cool. I mean, look at the aesthetics of this. I mean, not only does it look awesome, but it's actually a pretty cool map. Like, you could totally have some, like, artillery up here, or, like, mortars for the Empire, like, shooting down into the valley, just multi-pronged battles. So basically, knowing that he has this high ground position, I sent my skirmishers up here to just kind of distract him for a moment, because my army's a little bit behind, and I didn't want him to like get a position right here before my Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers could get up here, and you can see they're having to waddle very, very slowly. So I wanted to make sure I was getting the full value out of all my troops. So in the front, I'm continuing to skirmish here with the Illyrian Reavers, just shooting at his Lord and pretty much whatever I can hit. But you can see his Bolt Thrower is now shooting at my Cav, and his Dark Shards, I think, are now in range, so he'll be able to shoot at me pretty well. So getting some decent damage here, though. Good, like 5-7%. Didn't hurt anybody. But yeah, you can see his Cold Ones also took a little bit of damage, about 15%. So the skirmishing is definitely going pretty well. And if anything, it's kind of taking my opponent, out of his rhythm and allowing me to get in position. So I'll go ahead and fast forward a little bit as these Bolt Throwers waddle up the hill. So right now I'm just going to form ranks right here, get my Bolt Throwers on the back, and start shooting at these elite infantry. So you can see he is coming up pretty aggressively right here. So Techless is going to waddle up here. And you know what's cool about Techless is, like, you can afford to take a ton of damage because of his potions. It's so nice. I mean, it heals so hard and gives him a ward save. So I do drop a Flock of Doom, which hits these Executioners as well. No, it didn't hit those ones, unfortunately, but it also did hit the Dark Shards in the back. My opponent is going to pressure me with his Gold Ones, try and make me crack one open, but I do not want one. I'm going to run back there to the cover of my spears and my archers and all that kind of good stuff. So in the meantime, my cav are just being trolls in the back, basically just shooting. But my opponent is playing definitely pretty well, just screening them out with these dark shards who do have shields, so I don't really have a chance of trading with those. So you can see my Reaper bolt throwers are now shooting in, and he is getting a little bit overzealous with these cold ones, trying to like screen me out. So I actually net him down, and then you guys are just going to see volley upon volley. So the High Elves, their archers have really good range. It's actually 180, which is the same as Deepwood Scouts. So then you can just see it's like that scene in 300, our arrows will blotch out the sky. So we actually do a ton of damage to these guys. Yeah, well, not as much as you'd think, but they do have 90 armor and shield, so they're going to be resilient. But again, just the pure like density of fire will eventually get to them, even against the executioners. So you know, they're taking a little bit of work here. I don't think my opponent noticed they're out of the nets yet, but I'm sure he'll get them in just a moment. You can see my Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower doing some pretty good work, actually, tearing into some of these guys. You can see there's a couple that got knocked over, but unfortunately most of them did get back up. But the executioners are taking some damage, but yeah, these Cold One Knights definitely took a beating, and it's going pretty well. In the back, I do have my Illyrian Reavers who are going to charge up. So a lot of people don't expect them to be really good melee, but they are. They have like 32 melee attack, which is so darn high compared to the 22 melee defense of the Dark Shards. That's going to favor me pretty well. So right now, basically, my opponent's advancing. You can see my arrows. I'm just going to like start teeing off on these troops. And even though they are armored, I think the sheer volume of my fire is going to get there. And also, you net them down, so it just delays the fighting even more. And one of the really nice things about netting in this situation is that he's going to continue advancing with these forces who are going to have like a partial engagement. They're not going to have their flanks covered, and it's going to be, you know, really favorable for me here. So you can see my Sea Guard and other guys are teeing off on these Blackguard and Ogron, who are just getting decimated. You can see they're already at half health, so that's a really, really good start for me. And Teclis is kind of hanging out. I should have charged these spears. I think I actually did charge them. I was about to say I always miss that darn charge bonus. But in the back, my Illyrian Reavers are coming in pretty hot, and they also shoot while they're charging, which is always nice and thematic. But these Dark Shards are definitely in some trouble, so I'm going to get up the little uphill charge, not as cool as a downhill charge, but regardless, we're going to charge into them. And I think they do actually have a decent charge bonus. I think they're basically the same as regular Illyrian Reavers, but they also do have bows and like maybe slightly lower melee defense or something. So you can see these Dark Shards took a ton of damage from that charge, and I'm even easily going to be able to clean up his back line. You can also see that his Bolt Thrower back here is just going to get run down by these guys. So it's definitely going pretty well for the High Elves in the back line. In the main fight, though, this is where the action's getting really exciting. You can see Teclis has taken quite a bit of damage, but my archer line is still intact. You can see I have dropped my Phoenix right here, so I think this was a bit of a mistake because I think it accidentally clipped some of my troops. I tried to angle it to like hit here, but I think it comes into my spears right here. Let's actually see. So, oh, they're already at, like really tattered. No, I think that was actually decent. No, oh, that's never good. Oh no, that's not good. So it roasted some of my white lines, which is unfortunate, but I think it did really good damage to his guys in the forest. You can see his whole line of these executioners are wavering. The Phoenix Guard are kind of out trading them, and Phoenix Guard, like even though they are a halberd unit, are excellent in melee. They have a 30% physical ward save, so they're not going to take much damage in conjunction with their absurdly high melee defense. So the executioners are being pushed back right here, which is really nice. And also in Total War Warhammer 2, guys, it seems like they changed the trajectory fire for archers. Like they can shoot very well, and they don't get it, obstructed as often. So these executioners are just getting firing squatted right here. You can see that these archers are just shooting into them. They're just getting peppered, and even though they're super armored, they're still just kind of getting worn down by that, perpetual fire. You can see that Teclis got pretty beat up over here. He did get the Assassin Trophy cast on him. And the Khanate Assassin also has a little crossbow, so he's like just shooting his crossbow at Teclis, and it hits very hard. So I actually had to pull back right there, which is a little bit dicey. But still, the main thing for this battle to kind of note is that my missile line has been pretty much unimpeded this entire time. And it's really starting to take apart his forces. You can see these executioners just getting rattled over here. Unfortunately, my cav, I think, did get caught in a bad engagement. So I had them on the Dark Shards, and I over-chased. And then his Cold One Knights, who are hiding over in the forest here, did engage. So my Illyrian Reavers here are having a lot of problems against these guys. Definitely going to get taken out by those anti-large attacks. But still, they performed very well this game. I mean, these ones wrapped up 27 kills, and these ones got 51, which is not bad for like skirmisher missile cav. But in the main line engagement, I have a bit of a concave. So for any of you guys who've ever played other RTS games like StarCraft, if an enemy's like advancing on your force and you have like a circular concave like this, it's very, very devastating in terms of firepower. So he does have his Dread Spear back here, or his Dread Lord, but he is getting engaged on by some Spearmen, and the High Elves look really cool with their shields and like the way they carry their spears. It's awesome. So he's trying to get away, but my Spearmen will chase him, and I also do have some missile pressure. Teclis is in pretty good shape, and I also do have that potion coming up relatively soon. So I will have some healing coming in to assist me, but really most of his forces are too tattered. His Khanate Assassin is being chased down by my infantry, and he won't be able to deal with these numbers. He's more of like a duelist. And some of the Dark Shards are coming back, but the Dark Shards honestly get outclassed by the Archers. Archers have greater range and are able to do really well because these guys only have 125, so they're going to take so much damage when they advance, which is pretty nice. But if we take an overarching look at things, I have a really solid core of just kind of a Lothern Sea Guard and Archers here, and a pretty healthy group of white lines of trace. I still have my two Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers, all of which are just teeing off on his Lord, and it looks like that's going to be all she wrote. So that was pretty exciting for sure. Like I was trying to for just days and days since the game came out to figure out different ways to play the High Elves. But you know, when I started playing around with Teclis and realizing, hey, he has Nets of Amnitalk, that was pretty much what like high level Empire players would do to, you know, elite armies. You come in, they net you down, they just gun down your, you know, Blackguard or your Great Swords or whatever it is, and you just get so much value. And even though you don't have like the AP to necessarily just punish these guys, just if you have the 2 Eagle Club bolt throwers and all of these archers and you're able to protect them all, it's going to work out pretty well. I see this build maybe struggling a little bit against the dinosaurs because I think the spearmen would have trouble against, you know, these swarms of skink cohorts, and then the Saurus warriors would really kind of beat the brakes off them. And also the big dinosaurs, they do have 140 armor. Their HP pools are so big. So it'd be a little bit harder for these archers to put a dent in them, especially with like Apotheosis and Cold Blood and different things like that. And the Revivification Crystal. Man, I almost got it. I'm going to get it one of these days. But still, it's worth experimenting with. I think it might be good. And again, Teclis is kind of the key to success there. If you had Tyrion as your lord, it would be tough. You'd have to bring like a light caster. It would be a little bit more expensive. But it was definitely a fun build. Let me know what you guys think. And very well played to my opponent, Budafara per Totem. Yeah, I have no idea what that said or how to say that or what it means. But I liked his army. I like the Executioners over here and the Black Guard. Definitely not bad. Expecting Dragons and Phoenixes and the Dark Shards with Shields. You know, pretty resilient against missile fire and can also really punish, you know, Sword Masters of Hoeth and the White Lines and things like that. So yeah, it was definitely fun. So well played to my opponent. Look forward to seeing you again on ladder. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this High Elf game. Have an excellent night, guys, and take care.